So you've made up your mind, you want to start keeping chickens. Well, in today's video, I'm going to be telling you guys everything you're going to need. Everything you're going to need to have in order to start keeping chickens. Whether it's for eggs, for meat, you just want to keep them as pets. The idea is that you want to keep chickens around. So just stick around, we're going to go through everything. Starting off, you're going to need land or space, because chickens are chickens. They move on the ground. They don't, stay in space. So you're going to need somewhere for them to stay. And that will really depend on how big you want your poultry project to be and which kind of system you want to use. For example, if you want to free range your birds, you're going to need way more space, okay? And if you want to keep your birds, for example, in a deep litter system like mine, you're probably going to need less space. It also depends on where, which kind of setting you're in. If you're in a town setting, most probably you're going to just need a small kind of space, and then you're going to probably use a more intensive kind of keeping the birds, for example, the deep litter system or the battery cage. But if you're out in the village like me, like I am right now, you could just open it up, free range the birds. Of course, it also depends on the number of birds you want to have. So if you're just going to be keeping 2 birds or 3 birds, again, you just need something really, really small. Then number 2, you're going to need shelter for the birds. Now, what's the purpose of shelter? Shelter is going to protect the birds from the rain, number 1, from predators, from theft, and all that kind of stuff. So you can see that my chickens, this is my chicken house. I hope you guys can see it. This is my chicken house, and this is where the birds sleep. So the kind of shelter you're going to have is going to really vary depending on the kind of birds you want and the type of system you're going to be used. So you could very easily use this kind of system, which is a big house like this, or something like this, or something like this. All of them could work, For example, this one has a capacity of up to 2,000. The other one has a capacity of around 70, 80. And the last small one I showed you, you could put in 6 birds or something like that. So it depends. Then you'll also need a water source. Now this is my water source currently. This is a tank built out of concrete. We just built it recently, and it's a pretty huge tank, guys. It has a capacity of around 12,000 liters. That is quite big. And what we do is that we harvest rainwater. That's how we get our water source. We've been quite blessed in that recently it has been raining for a really, really, really long time. I think since March this year, it's been raining. In fact, from last year, it's been raining. So we harvest the water in here, then we just keep fetching the water using jerry cans to take inside the chicken house. Now, you could use whichever kind of water source you have, If you have a well nearby, it's very okay, as long as the well is safe, it's underground water. If you have a borehole, that's also perfect. Some people even use, national water or the district's water or the country's water. The problem with that is that it's quite expensive. And then sometimes it might have very high levels of chlorine, which is not good for the everyday taking of the water. But the most important thing is that you're going to need a safe source of water. I could have dug up a well right here, and that was my plan, not a well, a borehole, something like that, a well. Well, it's a well. But this place is very rocky. There are very many rocks around, and I couldn't dig it up. So what you need to know is that you're going to need water, and you must have water stored somewhere. Because what could happen is that sometimes you might have water cut off, for a few days, 3-4 days. And chickens cannot survive without water. They would rather take water than eat food. So you must have your water source secured. Then when it comes to brooding, you're also going to need a light source and a heat source. Now the light is important during brooding. In fact, I won't talk too much about brooding. I'll just leave a link right here. It's going to take you guys to an exclusive video which gives everything you need to know about brooding, so that you lose as few birds as possible. In that video, you'll understand the whole idea of brooding very well. But what you're going to know is that you're going to need a light source, because the birds are going to have to feed constantly for the first few days. And then you're also going to need a heat source, because you're going to have to warm those birds for each and every day, unless they have a mother. If they have a mother chicken, then you don't need a brooder, because the mother chicken itself will be the natural brooder. Then you'll also need some kind of feeder or drinker. Now, there are very many kinds of feeders or drinkers. This one is a trough feeder, and you can see it. You put the feeds in here, and the birds just come and get the feeds out. Then this one is also some kind of automatic drinker. You put the water in here, flip it over, and the water flows out. But there are very many kinds of drinkers. There are homemade drinkers. I've made a video about a homemade drinker. I'll leave a link to it right here in my video. You can go and check it out. Then the kinds of feeders, for example, the automatic feeders on my poultry farm. So there are very many kinds of feeders, very many kinds of drinkers, but you need a place to put the drinking water for the birds and a place to put the feeds for the birds. Obvious, right? Then you will also need vaccines. And these vaccines will really depend on where you're keeping your birds, which country you're in, the disease profile of the area, and which style you need to use. Yeah, you might decide to not use vaccines at all, because if you want to keep your birds organically and appeal to that kind of market, you don't use vaccines. Yeah, but you might need vaccines, so you also need to find out which kinds of vaccines you're going to have to use, and think of where you're going to be keeping those vaccines when you get them onto the farm. Oh, by the way, my name is Dr. Daniel and I love poultry farming. Very passionate, and I do it with all my heart. And if this is your first time on the channel, or if you haven't subscribed, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, smash that notification bell, that way you never miss out on an upload, and please don't forget to hit the like button. That way YouTube, knows that this video is a nice one and will probably recommend it to other people. Then you'll also need egg trays or a refrigerator. It depends on which kinds of birds you're going to be keeping. Or you might even never need them. For example, if you're keeping our indigenous chicken and you just want to grow them and sell them immediately, live birds, you don't need any of this stuff. But if you're like me, who is keeping birds for eggs, then you're going to have to get somewhere where you're going to be keeping your eggs, each and every day for storage. Then if you're, for example, keeping meat birds and you're going to cut them and process them, you also need a refrigerator. In fact, even for the eggs, if you want to keep them for a really, really long time, you'll need some kind of refrigeration. So a refrigerator or egg trays are also very important. Then you also need some kind of storage, a store, something like this. So this over here, you can see it's a store where I keep my chicken feeds. In there, my friend, my colleague, my brother is helping me to work on the chicken feed, mixing it, preparing it probably for tomorrow. But you can see it's a room, and in there we have chicken feed. Inside here we've stored some charcoal for brooding for the next lot of birds. Right here, I don't know if you guys can see, we have some wood shavings and all this kind of stuff. So you need some kind of storage for your poultry farm. Then you're going to need the chickens. Of course, the chickens themselves. So how are you going to get these chickens? You need to think about it. Are you going to buy day-old chicks? Are you going to go and buy point of lay chicks, if you're going to be going into layers? Or are you going to buy, real adult chickens and, you let them lay their eggs and they brood them and all that kind of stuff? What are you going to do? You need to think of where are you getting your chickens from. And guys, like I've said before in my videos, you need to get high quality chickens. Because if you get poor quality chickens, you're going to suffer. It doesn't matter how much money you put into the feeding or everything, you're going to get very poor production. So make sure you get your chickens from a very, very good and a trusted source. Then if you're going to be keeping birds for eggs, you'll need laying boxes, yeah? Because you don't want your birds laying eggs all around on the floor of the chicken house, no. You want them to go inside the laying boxes, they lay the eggs there. That way the eggs are cleaner, they are safer, and the birds are even stimulated to lay more eggs when they are laying in a place which is really comfortable. So you'll need to construct laying boxes for the birds. There are so many types of laying boxes, guys. You'll probably just search them on the internet. Just go to Google, even here on YouTube. You're going to see very many kinds of laying boxes, and it's all up to you to either buy them or make them. The ones I have on my poultry farm, I made them myself. And I believe the next lot, I'll also make it myself, but with guidance from someone. But yeah, that's it. Then you're also going to need patches, roosting patches. I've talked about roosting patches before in my videos. In fact, I'll leave a link to the video right here. But roosting patches are very important in that they help the birds, to exercise their natural behavior, They go there, they jump around, they fly around. They love doing that. And then second of all, it's a refuge for the birds that are down the pecking order. So you're going to need roosting patches inside your chicken house, and those are very easy to make. Like I've said, I've shown you guys how to make them. Just watch that video and make sure you have roosting patches inside your chicken house. That way you are a good farmer. Then of course you're going to need labor. who's going to be doing the work on the farm? If you probably have 2 chickens, you almost don't need any labor. You just open for the birds, they move around, in the evening they come back and enter. But if you're going to be keeping very many birds like I am, even if it's just 100 birds, it's quite some amount of work. So you need to think about it. Are you going to be the one to do that work? Or are you going to need to hire someone to do the work? And how well can you supervise that person? Because some people are really not good workers. They'll take you through some pain and all that kind of stuff. So think about the labor too. So guys, yeah, I believe I've told you everything you need to know, or everything you will need before you start a poultry farm. This will really vary depending on the kinds of chickens you want to keep, depending on the number, depending on the location. So you're going to need to adapt this to fit your particular needs. But if you get all these things together, trust me, you've gotten everything that you need to start a chicken farm. Lots of love. See you guys next time on the same channel with another video. Bye-bye.